Hey guys, Jamie at the Summer Rain channel, welcome back. Today I'm making a succulent melt and pour soap. I really love the way this turned out. I've had this succulent mold for some time and I've been meaning to use it and I just didn't get around to it. And then I was thinking, you know what, spring's here. I'm just gonna go ahead and make this soap, use my new mold. And I really love the way that it turned out. This is more of like a medium to advanced melt and pour soap because we have embeds and then we have layering. I did have a lot of fun with it. And there's a lot of customizing that you can do. So this is a little bit darker of the same soap that I made for the blog, and then this is the one that I made in the video. So even with the same ingredients, you can have a lot of variation and change up the soap to however you would like it. I did put the full recipe down in the description box below. Also put the mica powder and the mold and stuff if you're interested in getting the same mold that I have. Without further ado, let's dive in and make our succulent soap. So let's go ahead and start this soap by making our embeds. What we're going to need is 1.5 ounces of white melt and pour soap, fragrance oil. Now I'm using light blue fragrance oil, but you can use any one that you would like. Yellow gold mica powder, pistachio mica powder, and green pearl dry mica powder. And then we're also going to need the succulent silicone mold. Go ahead and grab yourself a container that's safe to put in the microwave. And in there, we're going to go ahead and put our melt and pour soap. Now we're going to pop this into the microwave in 10 to 15 second intervals, stirring well in between until it's completely melted. Now that our soap is melted, we can go ahead and add our fragrance oil. And you're just going to want to go ahead and give that a quick mix. And we're going to go ahead and add the yellow gold mica powder. And we're going to go ahead and mix that in there. And it takes just a minute to get it to mix in all the way. So I want to show you something really quick. Now, see on the top of our melt and pour soap how we have little chunks of mica powder that aren't mixing in? If you spray those with rubbing alcohol, it'll break the clumps up. Did you see them break up there? So if you're having a hard time getting it to mix in properly, just go ahead and spritz it with the rubbing alcohol. Now the smell will fade away, so it's not like your soap's going to smell like rubbing alcohol or anything like that. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and pour our yellow gold embeds, and I'm going to do one big one, and then I'm just going to do one small succulent embed. Once you're done pouring, you're going to go ahead, you're going to spray with rubbing alcohol, and this is to pop any bubbles that might have formed on the bottom of your soap. If at any point your soap starts to harden up, feel free just to pop it back in the microwave for like 2 to 3 seconds. That's all it takes to warm it back up for you. And I'm going to add just a bit of pistachio mica powder and the green pearl dry mica powder. And then we're going to mix that in the same way we did for the yellow gold, so give it a good mix. Give it a spray with some rubbing alcohol to break up any clumps. Now I'm going to go ahead and pour the green embeds. So I'm going to do one big one, and I think I'm going to do 3 small ones. Ooh, overfilled that one a little bit. And the same thing, we're going to spray the bottom to pop any bubbles. Now we're going to allow this to cool completely before we unmold it. Once your embeds are cool, so you can normally tell by touching them, if they're cool to the touch, they're fine to go ahead and unmold. You're just going to pull at the sides a little bit and then at the same time push on the bottom, and then you can get your embeds out. Oh, that one doesn't want to come out. I really like the way these green ones turned out. And I like the contrast between the yellow and the green embeds. And we're going to put this on like a brown soap base, so I think it's really going to pop. Now this one I poured a little bit too much, so if you do that, you can just kind of take the excess off. Not that you're really going to see it in the way that we're pouring this embed, but if you do find that you over pour it, it's super simple just to clean it up. And there are all of our embeds. The second step of this succulent soap is to go ahead and create the actual bar part. So what we're going to need is 3.5 ounces of white melt and pour soap, your fragrance oil, dark scarlet mica powder, and your bar shape mold. Go ahead and grab your microwave safe container again and pop your soap in there. And we're going to pop this in the microwave until it's completely melted in 10 to 15 second intervals. Now that it's completely melted, go ahead and add your fragrance oil. And we will give that a good mix. Add dark scarlet mica powder. And then we'll go ahead and mix that in there. Give it a few sprays with rubbing alcohol just to help it disperse. And sometimes it takes just a minute to get it all the way mixed in there, especially when you have more melt and pour soap. Now I'm going to go ahead and pour our brown soap, but we're not going to pour all of it because we're going to need just a little bit of the soap at the end. So I'm going to save just a bit of this soap to use in a minute. And then you want to go ahead and spray the top with your rubbing alcohol, so then that way you can pop any bubbles that might have formed on there. Now, we're not going to let this cool all the way. What we're going to do is we're going to give it just a few minutes just to create a little bit of a skin on the soap. And once we get to that point, I will come back. So what we want to do is go ahead and check and see if this is ready for the next layer. If you can see here, when I touch it, there's a film on there, but it still moves. So that's what we're going for. We don't want this to be completely cooled all the way. We still want it to be very warm, but we want to make sure that our new soap isn't going to break through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this soap, the one that we didn't pour all of it, the brown one, back into the microwave for like 3 seconds. I don't want this super hot. I just want to warm it back up so it's able to be poured, and then I will come right back. So when you're pouring another layer onto a soap, you're kind of looking for two things. One, you want this one to be set up just a little bit, but not all the way, right? So we don't want this to be completely solid. Otherwise, it's going to be really difficult to get this layer to adhere to that layer. Also, you want this to be pourable, but you want to make sure that it's not too hot, right? Because we're not trying to break through the layer. I guess in this soap, it wouldn't really matter because it is the same color. Now, the secret to this layer is to put a little bit of rubbing alcohol on your first soap, and that almost acts like a glue between the two layers. And then we're going to go ahead and we will pour this layer. And the only reason why I'm pouring this layer is I need something for these embeds to stick to, but I don't want them to fall through to like the bottom of the soap. So by pouring a thin layer on the top, I can place them in there and not worry about them falling through. Again, we're going to spray the top with some rubbing alcohol, and now we're going to go ahead and place our embeds. Now, you don't want to like plop them in there. You want to be pretty careful when you're placing them. And then I think I'll put a green one. Oh. I think I'm gonna do this one next. And then you just try to find how you think they'll look nice. Now, they all don't have to be completely flat. You can put them at an angle or any way that you would like. And I'll pop that one at a bit of an angle. Now I'm just gonna cut this one in half. And I'm going to see if I can get it to fit. Yep. And then I'll put the other half right there. And then I'm going to go ahead and give it a good spray with rubbing alcohol. And now we're going to allow this soap to cool completely. And then now that we've allowed this to cool completely, we are just going to go ahead and pop it out of the mold, and there is your soap. And I just want to kind of give you a closer look at the finished soap. If you're not going to be using it right away, it is really important just to go ahead and either wrap it up in some plastic wrap, or if you have a shrink wrapper, either one will work. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoy making your own succulent melt and pour soap. And I did have a question for you. So I'm kind of torn. Which one do you like better? Do you like the one that I made for the blog post or the one that I made in the video better? Let me know in the comments down below. Bye.